Exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
Oh, and welcome. You are tuned in to Take My Advice. I'm not using a Get Balance with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on CNBC News, NBC News, and NBC Sports Radio Station KCAA, home to the Asian Oprah, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, TuneIn, Audible, Tiki Live, Amazon Music, Podchaser, Rumble, and about 28 more platforms, because I want to splatter more hope and happiness as far and wide as I can. So this show's about hope and happiness, balancing out all the bad news out there, and Lord knows there's enough of it. But I have topics and guests and special series to balance and get you to focus on your own reality show, so we don't K-word here. No Kanye talk at all. No gossip, no scandal, no political rhetoric. Instead, we provide really helpful information so that you can have the best possible life. And that's what this series is called. You'll recognize my fabulous fitness expert in-house. Her name is Beth Linder-Moss, and she is my co-host on Tuesdays. And I just am so delighted all the time to have her, because I learn from her. She has an Amazon best-selling book right now, Think Healthy, Be Healthy. She hosts two weekly national syndicated podcasts. She's a certified health and wellness coach, certified personal and group fitness trainer, sports nutritionist, say that 3 times fast, and an exercise physiologist, having earned her Bachelor of Science from Penn State University. She's helped thousands take positive steps in their journey to be healthier through the written word, social media, one-on-one training, and group sessions. She has tons of free stuff on her TikTok, on her IG. So, hey, you can ask her and get from her a lot of great ideas. She's been my personal coach in this thing called my Love My Project 3.0. Please welcome back to the studio, Beth Linder-Moss. Yabba dabba doo. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
I thought I had the market on Energizer Bunny, that running around with the battery. She outdoes me for sure. Well, I think it's because you have 3 hours on me too.
That's very true. I get a long time before I even get on here.
You've got a half a day gone already. But let's jump right into having a little breakfast. Y'all know, thanks for rolling in. I see the eyeballs already. We already got a finger. Somebody gave us the finger, this one. And we are going to go and have a bite of my gratitude sandwich. 8 specific things that we're grateful for, and followed by 8 specific things that we like about ourselves, because that's the way we start the day, in the most positive way. Poet and didn't know it. What are you grateful for, Beth?
I'm grateful, talking about the extra time which I know that you did also. We both got to work out today. But I'm grateful I got my workout in before I had to jump on with you. So I'm grateful that I got part of my day free for that. I don't have to do it later.
I am grateful that it always feels better after a workout. I have yet to feel worse after working out. So I may not feel good starting the workout, but I always feel great after a workout. What are you grateful for?
I am grateful. I think I might have said this last time, but I'm going to keep saying this. I'm grateful for the warm weather that we are experiencing over here in New Jersey. Today's a little cooler than it has been, but I am grateful that we had days in the 80s already. It's the best. I just going out for a run or walk. I take my dog for walking, running outside. I even pop, you guys could do this too. I pop my earbuds in and go for a walk and listen to podcasts like this.
Exactly. Speaking of which, they are all free and available for you. There's a special playlist on my YouTube channel that is called Step Up with Beth Linder-Moss and Dr. Marissa into your best life. I am grateful that I got to babysit my grand dogson for a week, and he was just adorable. And I'll do my last gratitude is that I got my first good night's sleep because I did not have to be woken 100 times a night by his wonderful, beautiful, cute, but very disruptive snore. And your last two gratitudes?
My last two gratitudes are I am grateful. Actually, I'm going to say I'm grateful for the people who are surrounding my parents right now. My dad happened to have back surgery, and I'm grateful for those who are helping my parents who are in Florida. So I'm grateful for the doctors who did a good job, and for those who are able to help my parents with his recuperation.
Fantastic. All right. And okay. I do this whenever I hear an ambulance, just as a little prayer for whoever's being attended to. Yeah. And I was going to just play this just because I sent this. I don't know if you can hear it. Oh, wait. Nope. I sent this to Beth this morning just so that there's like a audio visual, and it's not showing. Oh, well. We'll figure it out. We go to the bottom of the bun, which is, what do you appreciate about yourself? I'm exercising your muscle to like yourself. It's the foundation in my BS, my belief system, to good mental health. If you can approve of yourself, then you don't need to run around looking for likes, literally. If you know who you are in the core of who you are, I messed up this week with Beth. I kept asking her what the topic was, and she had told me already. And, I started to beat myself up, and I stopped because I'm not perfect. And 88% of the time I get stuff, right on. And 12% of the time I'm human. So I appreciate that I can cut myself some slack.
That's good. That's a good one. Well, I appreciate the fact that I have to have a somewhat stressful life. We all do, right? And that we can laugh about it, look at it, and kind of, make some jokes about it and make it a little lighter than sometimes, than it might be.
I appreciate my ability to let it go. Let it go. That's been my theme song, because if you hold on to stuff, it just hurts you. And people do the best that they can with that they have and the resources they have, just like I do. And I've learned to let it go, and at the same time, not put myself in a situation where I am going to get smacked again. I think that is tantamount to letting it go, right? So I'm learning that every day. So I appreciate my ability to learn that.
I'm gonna piggyback. I'm gonna piggyback off of that one. I am gonna appreciate myself because I'm learning to let it go. Because recently it was actually brought to my attention that my girls who are teenagers, right? Can have some
twins
teenage girls. So we got a lot of that going on, and can have some attitude, and sometimes they will, have a lot of attitude and maybe be not so nice. And then what they do is they say they wake up the next morning, and my husband's the one who's always home in the morning because I'm already at work at 4:45 a.m. And they come downstairs and he's like, "Good morning." And he's like, "Good morning, sunshines." And they're like, "Did you not remember that I yelled at you last night?" and he's like, good morning, sunshine. And he's just like able to let everything go. So I think that is pretty awesome. So sometimes I can hold on to things and be like, do you know what you said to me last night? That was so not nice, but he's able to let it go. So I'm definitely working on that.
We'll both do that together. I've been singing that song like every day. But we're law of attraction. I appreciate that I live by the law of attraction, which says you're never going to get it done and you're never going to get it wrong. So everything that happens, good, bad, and ugly, is there to for our best and divine good, even though I can't see it or can't feel it right now. And that's something I've got to pat myself on the back. When shift happens, when bad things happen, a lot of us have a tendency to talk about it and tell someone, oh, you're not gonna believe what happened, blah, blah, blah. And I had a couple really bad things happen yesterday and I did not tell one person. And I'm not gonna say anything until it's resolved. Like, I don't know how it's gonna get resolved. It was, my lapse in judgment or memory. So I can't blame anyone, but I'm not going to beat myself up. And I can't wait to see what good comes out of this. And once it resolves, then I will tell you what happened. But until then, it does me no good to complain about what's happening. So I appreciate that I really, for the first time, am getting that.
Wow, congrats. That's great. Yeah, that's big.
It's huge.
It is big. I'm like, wow, that's big. I appreciate that. I keep, following my dreams and my journey. That I'm not giving up. That I know it took you 9 years, and I remind myself of that kind of stuff. Sometimes you just want things to happen like overnight, with anything you're doing. And sometimes things take time. So I appreciate the fact that, I'm not going to stop and I'm going to keep going, that I'm putting my time in just like you, and that I'm really understanding that,
Yay. I love that. I love that. Knowing she is a go-getter. And it is, there's never been anyone, I dare you to show me someone who is an overnight success. We're all farmers. We plant seeds, and the worst thing we can do is grab a plant by the little shoot and go, why aren't you growing, to the roots? And it's really, it's wonderful to hear you say that. And I applaud you, Beth. And I think you're doing fantastically. You really, I honor you. So that's it for our breakfast. That was a love burrito breakfast. I just love this show. I love my life. I love my co-hosts. I'm just so grateful. Dang. Okay. This is week 572 consecutive show number. I got to look at it at the tag. It's 921. Ooh. And we are talking today about balance. It's one of my favorite words, which she said, let's talk about balance. I'm like, cool. And then I forgot. So balance is something that we talk about. People talk about work-life balance. I put in the promo, got balance, like got milk. It is a topic that my co-host chose. So I'm going to let her start with that and tell me why you picked that and how are you defining balance?
All right. So I picked it because we're always saying you need to be well-balanced, but I don't know. I know that in some sense it's different for everybody, meaning what their balance is. But even like in my book, I'm like well-balanced lifestyle. But what does that really even mean? And I wanted to talk about it a little bit because I feel like everyone has a different, explanation for it, which is true, a different definition. But at the same time, when I'm talking about well-balanced life, when I'm talking about in our health and wellness kind of area, I really talking about balance of mental, physical, emotional, social, all of that combined, even like you get environmental, we could put environmental and like all of it combined, like where we could get balance it out to where it works best for each one of us. For me, I need a little bit more fitness in mind because some people like to work out 20, 30 minutes a day. I like to work out a little bit longer than that. So my balance is going to be a little bit more on some of the fitness stuff. And maybe for you, some of your balance might be a little bit more on the mental stuff or whoever. Like it really probably depends on, our fields or the things that we're actually working on at the time as well. So, some of it I think is going to change a little bit, but I do think that when we're talking about a well-balanced person, it's that we can learn to handle and kind of, like, I don't want to use the word balance because that's in the same definition, but learn how to and cope with everything that is going on. So how can we get a little bit of all the things that we need? And it's almost like in a pie circle, right? You could do it in a pie circle and say this percentage of this and this percentage of that and whatever. So I think sometimes it's going to change for everybody, but I do think that in our circle of our pie, we should all have, a little section for each thing, and that maybe we shouldn't concentrate too much on one of them and try to make it into like 8 even slices or whatever kind of thing. So that's why I picked it, because I kind of feel that sometimes when we talk about a balanced life, they're thinking that maybe because it's coming from me, I'm only talking about fitness and nutrition, but I'm not, because I'm talking about, everything. And maybe when it's coming from you, maybe they're thinking more of psychological kind of stuff. And, but I think that everyone should realize that it's a little bit of everything means a well-balanced life.
I concur, and I raise you one. I'm going to do my infamous put the moose on the table. And for me, it's helpful to talk about what isn't balanced to highlight balance. So easy for you to say, Beth, you can be balanced because you are, you have a husband who can take care of the kids in the morning while you're out doing your thing. And, you have enough funds to write a book, publish it, sell it. You've got, resources. You've got, you've got parents. You've got all of these things. Easy for you to say balance. I am not me, but the person that's talking at you right now, a hypothetical but real. And I've had coaching clients come and say, easy for you to say, you didn't grow up where there was no opportunity. You did not grow up. I don't have the luxury of, I'm a single parent. I don't have money in the bank. I have to take jobs that I don't like. I have to work 3 jobs just to manage my living expenses. I don't have education. I don't have all the certifications and the licenses. I don't have the degrees. I don't have any of that. You cannot talk to me about balance because I am doing the best I can. I'm exhausted. I am completely exhausted. And the only comfort I get is from looking forward to, going through the drive-through, eating my favorite unhealthy food, and sitting in front of the TV and watching the next whatever episode of Marvelous Miss Maisel or Bachelor or whatever it is. And that, I can't even imagine what balance is. Okay. So that's one person. And then I'm going to go to the other extreme where also in my executive coaching, I have high achieving, very successful, makes a lot of money, and workaholic, works on the weekends, at night, checks their email before they go to sleep, check their email in the morning, responding all the time, check their email while they're driving, busted, texting, canceling dates with their kids or their friends or their insignificant other, constantly on the move, doing something. I'm guilty of that. The last date I was on, he said, I don't mind being a priority 2 or 3, but priority 10, too far down the line. And it's a consuming kind of schedule, volunteering on top of your job, on top of being a full-time, trying to raise the kids and making enough money to send them off to great schools. That's the other no balance. So don't tell me to balance, because, I have goals. I have objectives. I am achieving all of the things that I said I would. I have to be the youngest billionaire, blah, 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 blah. So there you go.
All right.
So that is imbalance.
Yes. Well, I will say to some people that maybe think some of that stuff, I do. I may be married and have kids and everything looks all cheery on the outside, but a lot of times I say spend a day of my life and it is not what it looks like. I have 2 sick kids. I have a son who is sick for his first 18 years. I have a daughter who is sick and is battling gastroparesis right now. So her stomach is partially paralyzed. I will just say in the last year, she went from, being like this superstar soccer player to having feeding tubes. So I am also going through just as much stuff as a lot of people. I have a husband who is an absolute workaholic. So I have the other side as well. He is on the phone 24/7. If he tells me if I'm not on the phone, I'm not making money because he's sales. So I do have all of what everybody says. So I can kind of clump up into some of that. And I will come back and say that when you do find some balance, because I do have a little bit, I have a husband who is like an extreme and works a total workaholic as well. I too like to work. I like work a lot also, but I'm able to balance it a lot because I can do a lot of it from home and I do a lot of it from home and stuff. But every morning I am out of my house leave my house at 4:30 in the morning. So I will say that some of the things about balancing, once you give it a try, you will see that it actually will make you feel better. You'll probably be more productive. The people around you are going to be happier. Your relationships are going to get better, because if you can just try some of the stuff, it doesn't mean it's the same thing with like nutrition that I say. A lot of people can't just like go for a halt and jump in with 2 feet and say, I'm going to change everything I do in my life and I'm going to follow this diet. Well, some people do it and then they fall off, and then it's like, it's a very big extreme and not a lot of people can do that. But when you're trying to balance, it is good, to take like some of the smaller things. Like, can you, yes, you're going to go through a drive-through. All right. I mean, some people have to go through a drive-through, but maybe you could get the grilled chicken instead of something that is fried, right? Maybe we can go that way. And maybe when you are, waiting because you're a single parent, right? And you don't have a lot of time, but your kid is at soccer practice. Well, maybe use that time, walk around the soccer field, get a little exercise in, right? And, you can find the times to do something. I also say, like, another thing that also is like a feel good thing is like, maybe you could take, your volunteering time, that's helping others too. And while you're there, you also build relationships with other people. And sometimes, doing something good for somebody else makes you feel good. It's also being kind. Be kind to people. You don't know what anyone's going through. Like I just said, what I was going through, most people don't realize anything, right? You don't know what anyone's going through. I also say that, like, even in like fitness classes, sometimes you see like the thinnest people and you're like, what the heck are you doing here? You're thin already, right? But you don't know what they're going through. First of all, they need to exercise for so many other reasons, but you're also looking at them and you're like, I have this like skinny little thing in front of me, and like, why is she here? She's already skinny, right? But we don't know what anyone's journeys are. We don't know what anyone's going on in anyone's life. So always be kind. That's the other thing. But I also say that just, trying to do, like, if you got the extra couple hours of sleep, that little bit of sleep, you wake up, you feel a little bit more refreshed. The exercise makes you feel better. The nutrition, when you start eating healthier, makes you feel better. And when you feel good, people around you are also going to go off of that as well. So, you don't know what anybody's going through. And we do all have like the different extremes: single parenting, workaholics, people that are going through things with their parents, their children, all different things, their dogs, their four-legged friends, all of it. Maybe they're fish too, but whatever, so, but whatever, we don't know what anybody's going through. But I will say that there are ways for all of us to, find the time. I've also spoken about like meditation. If you take sitting in the car or driving in the car from one place to the next, put on a meditation tape. You can do it while you're driving. You just take deep breaths and things like that. And all of these things are going to help balance you out so that you start to be able to handle things and learn how to cope with some of the things better, because none of us have easy lives. Even the wealthiest people have easy lives. It's like we all have something that's going on.
Yeah. Great ideas. If you've just tuned in and wondering what we're talking about in studio today, yes, it is Step Up Into Your Best Life series with my in-house fitness and more expert, Beth Linder-Moss, and Dr. Marissa here on KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, streaming everywhere. In number 1, 8 a.m. talk show in the IE. Thank you very much for that. And we're talking about balance today because it is all about balance. If you have balance in your life, you will be happier. And I'm on a happy 88 mission, 88 million more happy people in the next 8 years. And I promise that if you take some of the suggestions that Beth is offering, you will feel better. And I think that's the way that I define balance. Do I feel good? When I don't feel good, most often I am in a place of unbalance. And so I use that as my temperature gauge to say, am I feeling balanced or not? When I'm feeling frazzled, frustrated, fatigued, those 3 F's, not F-U, but those 3 F's. I'm going to write that down. Frazzled, frustrated, and what did I say the third one was? Frustrated, frazzled, and anyways, frustrated. Frazzled,
Frenzy.
Anyways. Those were good though. I'll have to go back and listen to myself. But when you're feeling that way, most likely you are out of balance. So, and when you were talking about, taking a walk around the softball field, when you're taking your kid there, instead of sitting on the stands and talking about nothing or gossiping with other moms, guilty. I always think it's so funny at a fitness center when you're going there to work out that people fight for the spots that are closest to the front door. That to me is one of the funniest bust up. You're going to work out. I think a good way to warm up would be to park away from the front door so that you can get a warm up. But anyways, so I know from my life, I reached that point of I really am not happy with my life. I'm happy with all the success I've had, but am I having fun? So for me, balance was, I had to ask myself that question. Am I having fun at least 20% of the time? Now, I love my work. So the answer is I'm almost always, but outside of work that I was doing all the time that I love most, 80%, am I having fun? And literally I said, what do I do for fun? I work. That is very unbalanced. So I said, what do I like to do? I love to play games. And I started, Googling games near here. I learned pinochle. I got back into mahjong, something that I learned as a child once a year. And you play too?
I do. Yeah, Mahjong.
I
Of course.
didn't know that about you. Wow. Did you tell me that before?
No. No.
Oh,
We use
okay.
it
I was
social
like,
thing. It's a social thing that we do. We play Mahjong. Me and my
oh,
friends.
that's so fun. Oh, that's so cool. That's another thing we have in common. I had no clue. And first of all, I'm sorry about your daughter and the challenges that you're going through with her. And it's got to be tough for her and you. So kudos. I didn't know that. And I'm glad that you shared it, because I think that it's important for people to know that. You know, you already know my mom has Parkinson's and palliative. I almost lost my daughter 5 years ago. She had a horrific accident in New York when she was at Cornell, and rolled a Jeep 25 times, the salvage guy in the yard said. Yeah, I'll show you pictures later. And I got that call at 2:30 in the morning. She fractured her neck and her wrist. And I just absolutely did not allow my mind to go in worst case scenario. And she was out of the hospital in 3.5 days. And no, she made it to Dean's List. She only missed 3 classes. But anyway, so like you said, you just don't know, right? So don't judge people on what it looks on the outside. And number 2, I love your saying, I use it. I do give you credit. You be you. So if you eyes on yourself, eyes on your life, are you happy most of the time? Do you feel balanced most of the time? And for me, balanced equals happy. So do I feel good right now? I feel fabulous right now. I mean, I love my life. I did my workout already. I get to go pick up a different car because this 18-year-old slammed into my car about 3 weeks ago, and I get a new maybe drive electric car today, courtesy of their insurance. So you know, I got a good night's sleep without the snoring, and I have all kinds of possibilities of what I get to do tonight. A movie, whatever it is, I feel good because I know that I have balance in the things that I do on a daily basis now. I'm not so crazed with a schedule that is going to drive me crazy. So that for me is my definition of balance. How do you address balance in your book? And your book, by the way, for those of you who hold up your book, is actually, let's do the Asian Oprah giveaway today. So we've been talking about that. Beth has generously offered to give you a copy of Think Healthy, Be Healthy. And what does that say on the
Simple strategies to gain confidence through fitness, nutrition, and a well-balanced lifestyle.
So the first person to go to drmarissa.life and put in balance on the subject line will get a copy of Think Healthy, Be Healthy. That's a great picture, by the way. Yay. So so there we go. We did our Asian Oprah giveaway today, which is the Think Healthy, Be Healthy book by Beth Linder-Moss. We're talking about balance. I see the eyeballs rolling in. Thank you again. We got more thumbs up, which is people giving us the finger, that finger.
Love it.
And Beth, how do you begin to let's say those 2 scenarios, the one who has no money and is frazzled and frustrated and effed up because they're on that hamster wheel. They can't find any relief. You gave one good suggestion on more balance. Go through drive-through, get grilled chicken instead of fried chicken. What's another suggestion for that person? And then the other extreme, the person who's a non-recovered, perfectionistic, overachieving control freak. That was me. How do we get more balance in their life?
Well, looking at it in like the fitness, nutrition, like that kind of balance, I'm going to say that for people like that, are not able to go out, and we have like the money problems and all that. My Instagram and TikTok, first of all, have thousands of different things that you could go on and do for free in your own home. You don't need any of equipment at all. So it's that kind of stuff. It's going outside for walks, going, taking if you have young kids, you can throw them in the stroller, go for a walk. You have older kids, if they're at any kind of practices, you could go and walk around the fields wherever they are. Again, it's also just like taking those extra steps, but it's also, besides that, it's trying to balance out having some healthier food for yourself. Now, I know a lot of people say the food could be a little bit more expensive, but just realize that you don't have to get all organic food. So it doesn't have to be organic for you to get on a healthy journey of eating healthy. It's more, getting some of your fruits and vegetables and proteins in, and having a little bit less of the processed food. It might take a couple extra minutes for you to cook it, because you're not buying it already pre-cooked, but you could throw something on a grill or in a pan or air fryer, and make everything nice and healthy. The other thing I'm going to say is, you're going to, sometimes we find that part of what makes us unhappy, and especially when we're like you said, on that hamster wheel, and we feel like we're just going and going and going. Sometimes if you do it with somebody, a friend, or you meet a friend, and sometimes having that social person to do it with, having a buddy, someone to help to hold you accountable. You guys can go for that walk early in the morning before the kids get up and going to school, or later at night, and you guys could go for a walk, a jog, a bike ride, whatever it might be, but having someone to talk to. But while you're talking, you're also getting a little exercise in at the same time. So we have that. So you get the social part, you're getting some, emotional support at the same time. Sometimes also you can journal. I feel that sometimes when you write things down, even if it's like, it doesn't have to be in a journal. Sometimes you write thoughts down on your phone, wherever it is that you can. Sometimes getting some of that stuff out. Just wanted to keep you nice and grounded. And of course, while you're driving, some of these apps are free, that you could get, like these meditation apps as well. Couple minutes of just breathing is going to help you. And then on the side of somebody who
just don't close. I have to interrupt for 1 second. Just don't close your eyes while you're driving and meditating.
Well, I feel like if sometimes they walk you through kind of like, deep breathing, you can breathe. If you're at a red light, if you're waiting outside for one of your children to come out, or you're waiting to go into a meeting, whatever it is, you could do it during all of those times as well. It doesn't have to just be while you're driving, but it can be while you're 5 minutes early for a meeting. Take those 5 minutes that you have that, and you could do it then as well. And then if you're somebody who is a workaholic, I will tell you, if you're like my husband, he gets thousands and thousands of steps in, because all he does is walk on the phone and he paces. So he does get his steps in. But he does need to get more, which we talk about all the time, is more, even he needs to work on a lot, as well as balancing his work and his family. He does not have a very good balance with that. He'd probably kill me when he listens to this later. But he definitely needs to work on that, which we always talk about. But I'm sure he's not like the only person. I mean, I think that's a common thing that happens across the board. But sometimes it is like important. And you do have to realize that, it's okay to say to somebody, hey, I'm going to go to my kid's game, or hey, we're going out to dinner, or whatever. Let's reschedule this. I think it's totally fine. I think that people just have a hard time. I know that, they're perfectionists, workaholics, want to get to the top. I totally get it, because I have a lot of that in me as well. But I'm finding that balance. I think, that part is going to be harder for those workaholics as well. But, if they realize that once they balance it out too, I think that happiness is going to come. And once you can find that happiness, it makes your job also a little happier, because your life is a little happier. And I think that, then your colleagues and the people you're working with, it just kind of like snowballs, and it kind of goes off to everybody. So, even the workaholics, they need to get sleep. Everyone needs to get sleep. You got to get 78 hours, try and get that sleep in. I know it's so hard. Everyone's like, oh, I got to work until 1 o'clock in the morning, and then I got to be up at 5, but that's a big thing to actually work on, because that, I think, is key. Sleep is really, really
Yeah.
big.
Yeah.
And you know, back to eating,
Absolutely.
right? And eating healthy,
Absolutely. Yeah, it's
going,
all there. There's so many indices with which to apply that word balance. It's not just about working out. It's not just about diet. It's not just about, and every single successful person who has died early has said, Steve Jobs is probably the most famous in terms of what really matters. What really matters in life, and I'm glad to see that there's an emphasis now on experiences versus material, because that is one of the things, life is not about getting the most toys. It's about having that balanced life where you have good relationships, you have comfort, but you don't have that drive that takes away everything else. So that kind of balance, every single person has said, I wish I had spent more time with blank, my children, my friends, my family, whatever it is. And you cannot do over. Once time is gone, it's gone. That's why when people say to me, time is money or money is time, and I go, no, money you can make again. Time you cannot get back. There's no do-over of today. There's no do-over of this last hour. This last hour is done. It's happened. I can't redo that. So when I take a day off and say, I'm going to take the kids to the zoo, and that entire time you're on the phone and the kid's going, look, mom, the gorilla's pooping. And you don't even get that because you're somewhere else thinking about what you're not getting done because you're there with your kid. You might as well not have taken your kid. And that is a very symptomatic thing of overachievers. They're not in the present, which is a gift. They're always 10 steps ahead. Good news is you get a lot of shiitake done. Bad news is you miss all of the gifts of the present. So piggybacking on yours, I want to just highlight something that Beth taught me. Those of you who know, I've dropped the 30, where am I now? 35 pounds, 36 pounds. And so I'm toning, and I was going to go buy some weights. And this is for the person who has no money. I use these now to do my, the weight stuff. And it's a nice step up, because I started with the cans, like the green beans that I have here for my green bean casserole. I started with those. And then I moved to these, and I was going to ask you what's heavier than this. So I didn't need to go out and buy any kind of weights.
You could get like laundry detergent. Laundry detergent will be like your next step up.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea, because that is heavier than this.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it is. So it's like laundry detergent, a gallon of milk, put water in it, whatever, when you're done using it, things like that. So you can always, and then you can put sand in it. Like there's so many different ways of making it, and making it on your own. Yeah, sand. Yeah. Go to playground.
I knew I would get my
backyard. Go in the backyard, get some dirt and sand in it, right? And it makes it a little heavier.
Yeah.
So yeah,
absolutely.
So there are so many tips, but I will say, like, about the balance, going back to balance again, it is so important that like we each can try to find balance in our lives that works for us. But when we say well balanced, it just means like you keep going back to like the happiness, the fun. Like that's what your happiness is, your fun. I can't tell you, everyone's going to be different. So everyone can't say that this is exactly what my pie should look like. But when we separate it out, you got to make that pie that's going to make you happy mentally, socially, all of it, physically, all of it happy. So that's where I think that when we talk about well balanced, that it's so important that we can all try to think about like, well, am I not getting enough sleep, or am I not spending enough time with my loved ones, or am I not eating healthy? As soon as I eat unhealthy, I feel yucky. I don't get enough exercise in. When I don't get enough exercise in, I don't feel good either because I feel lazy, or I don't have the energy to play with my kids. So if I eat healthy and I get some fitness in, then I will have the energy to play with my kids, and I can make the time to play with my kids. Kind of like all, goes off each other. So, but I think it's so important that we all can figure out like our own balance, because I think everyone's
it's personal. Absolutely, it is personal. And I'm gonna just quote Jeff Hoffman, a friend of mine who's the co-founder of Priceline, and I speak on similar stages as he does. And I just loved his last talk, which was at Secret Knockdown in San Diego. My friend Greg Reed holds these, business networking conferences, and he said, balance is fluid, and that if you know that this is like, how are you feeling about your relationships right now? Well, I had a fight with so-and-so, or I'm not spending enough time with this person, or whatever. Then that's where you can rebalance yourself and say, oh, I'm going to cut this out and then spend a little more time on this. Or because I'm about to launch a product, I'm going to talk to my relationships and say, don't take it personally. For the next 3 months, I'm pretty much going to be not available. So it's about communicating, and also understanding that, things will change, and that you are the master of your ship on that. Nobody's forcing you to launch that product. Nobody's putting a gun to your head to spend more time with whatever. It's got to be your choice to say, I'm choosing this aspect of my life right now, and it's going to have consequences. So I say that because some, people hire me because they want me to talk about work-life balance. And I'll get up there, and the first thing I'll say is, I'm sorry, if you hired me for this, there is no such thing as work-life balance. And I'll go sit down, and they're like, what? Because you cannot have it all at the same time. Something's got to give. And so balance means, when to hold and when to fold, when to focus on something and know that it's going to take a year, but communicating in a way and knowing that it's not going to be like that forever. So that's my formula for balance. And go easy on yourself. Quit trying to be everything to everybody. It doesn't work. You can never be everything to everybody, partially because they ain't, a steady Freddy, common sense, logical people. Everybody's got their craziness. So if you're hitting someone at crazy and you're expecting them to understand or support you, you're kind of going to the tractor for milk. So if you want balance, you got to start here. You got to start with, okay, how am I feeling right now? And how am I going to change to feel more balanced? Not how are you going to change? And I kudos to you, to be with a great husband, if he's listening, who is, very focused on it. Because I know that I did relationship coaching yesterday on the show, and her relationship is out of balance because she's always looking at the things that he's not doing right. And so for 30 days, she has to compliment him once a day on the things that he is doing correctly to bring about balance in that relationship.
Now, Gary's going to want me to do that.
Hey, I'm all about balance, right? I support you, and I got to support him in the same show. Oh my goodness. Well, we're coming up on the last 5 minutes. I'm so glad everybody's joined. The eyeballs are still here. If you have any questions or comments, please do put them in the chat or message us afterwards. We can address that in a couple of weeks when Beth is back on as my co-host. This is Step Up into Your Best Life with Beth Linder-Moss and Dr. Marissa. I forgot to let you say your name. And you are tuned in to Take My Advice. I'm Not Using It. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa every weekday morning at 8 a.m. right after the NBC News at the top of the hour. on AM 1050, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere on the station, KCAA. That leaves no listener behind. Final word. What is your solution to anyone who is not feeling balanced? I hope that you've learned something. I've learned something, as I always do, from my co-host Beth Linder-Moss.
So
final word.
Final words are, again, I'm going to say, I like to say this a lot, is that you're worth it. So remember your happiness, and you are worth it. So don't think that, you can't try and find the balance because you have to do, something because like you just don't think enough of it. But like you are totally worth it. So you're worth it to get healthy. You're worth it to get happy. You're worth it for everything out there. And remember that. So I want you to that's really going to be my final word. You're worth it.
That's beautiful. Balance does not mean all or nothing. A lot of people are afraid of balance because they think they're going to lose their edge. They think they're going to not have any goals at all. I got to work like this, otherwise I'm going to end up being a couch potato. That's bullshit-talky. You can find balance in the middle. It is not all or nothing. If you live in an all or nothing, you're going to have nothing. So 15 minutes at a time is a tool that I use. If you have something giant that you need to achieve and you say, okay, I'm going to put aside this entire weekend to do it, and you end up not doing anything, that's a sign of a perfectionist. So 15 minutes at a time, you can just do a little and put your timer on. Usually you'll like to do a little bit more than that 15 minutes. So it's just a little, that balance means a little bit at a time. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. All right. Absolutely. That's my final word. I hope you've enjoyed Asian Oprah giveaway. First person to go to drmarissa.life and put in the subject line balance will get a free copy. Pull it up, please, of Beth Linder-Moss's fabulous best-selling book on Amazon, Think Healthy, Be Healthy, Simple Strategies. Here's my glasses. Simple strategies
to gain confidence through fitness, nutrition, and a well-balanced lifestyle.
Thank you. Both of us are like, I know, we use oil of Olay. So go to drmarissa.life and put that in the subject line. You will get that book. Do you have an audiobook version of that?
I don't, but I'm working on it. We are working on it.
Okay. I was going to say, yeah, we're because I've been giving audiobook versions of mine just because it's easier. But that's great.
I am working on it. It's in the works.
Awesome. Yes. And easy does it. I gotta get that done. No, that's contrary to all the things that we've talked about. I hope that you continue to tune in to this show about hope and happiness. If you would like to be a guest talking about your health and fitness goals, we haven't started this yet, but I think that people are familiar enough with this particular series that if you would like to come and get real-time coaching about your workouts, about your health, if you have been told by the doctor that you really need to lose some weight and you're just struggling, then contact either one of us. We'll have you on the air with us. All right. It is all about balance. Peace in, peace out, world peace through, inner peace. Now, this is Dr. Marissa and
Beth Linder-Moss
wishing you the best day ever. We'll see you tomorrow, Wednesday. I have a wonderful new guest coming up, the founder of Bright Core. I don't know if you've heard it. We've got some great giveaways of her nutrition. That's tomorrow's show. Make sure you tune in for that. See you tomorrow.